Hi everybody, welcome back to City Skylines even. Welcome back to Portmont, welcome back to this industrial mess and this weaving mass of residential and commercial buildings. Welcome back to the Dangus that we've got up here, which I'm a huge fan of. I've literally just noticed this train network following through here, so potentially we can have cargo train areas. We might even have to relocate this industry to sort of this bank up by the train, so we can have cargo train terminals and stuff like that, or we can have a play around with tourism going forward. So those are the late game ways to make real big money. So that's what we're going to have a look at sort of later on, but right now we're going to work on filling in the Dangus and that area and getting some more people in, because man, do we ever have demand for it. I am going to leave it paused because we're losing a big chunk of money at this current moment in time, and I'm going to jump straight in here with a curvy road and just quickly just fill it out and just, you know, make them look a bit crazy, and just because I feel like it adds a lot of character. And I sort of talked about this last episode about how adding in the road names and stuff like that, they're all major things for sort of adding that character to a city and adding that extra layer of almost what's the word I'm looking for? I'm just gonna take this. This layer of immersion, if you like, that you don't necessarily get with other city builders, because it is a bit detached. You are sort of like God or a mayor, as a lot of them say, building this city from afar and not really caring about citizens necessarily. Obviously, I'm not saying I don't care about my citizens. Of course I do. But in a very detached way, I would say, is the kind of manner of it. So, bam, we've just rinsed all of that money. I'm going to start filling all of this in with residential straight away. But I'm not going to build any closer to the highway than I already have, for the simple fact that I don't need to. I don't need to get too close to that, because I'm going to have to play around with it later on. I'm going to have to piss around with it. The game's going to fucking cuck me if I don't. So we're just going to straight in here. We're going to get some residential property down, and I'm going to add in some commercial just in amongst it, like I have been doing, just because I like the way that looks, especially on the map. When you zoom out and it's like, oh, look at all these different properties together, sort of clustered. But right now, like I said, the demand is big time in for residential, and as soon as this is finished building, it's going to be industrial. In this early part of the game, the city just grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. Later on down the line, it only grows whether you have really good services and stuff like that, and that is the point where potentially we might stop, we might leave it there, because we're going to get a bit bogged down, and we don't necessarily want to be sitting there just grinding through it, you know, desperately trying to get those next 1,000 people to hit the next milestone to get this building so that we can drag some more people in. And, you know, this early part of the game, I feel, is really good fun, because you don't have to do that. So this little industrial sector is going to grow. We're losing a lot of money. I'm not entirely sure where that money's going. Probably on that fucking smoke detector. But that's no dramas, we can get away with that. This little schools out thing here is a good little thing to add on. I might even put this as a district over the Dangus and make that a schools out zone, because it keeps your industry populated with workers. If you don't have it, as you update and put, you know, high schools in place and stuff like that, slowly but surely people are just going to not want to work there, and because they're not going to want to work there won't be any workers, so they'll move out, and then you'll have abandoned buildings, which leads to more crime, and it is this cascade failure of, oh shit, I've completely fucked myself over here. So hopefully we won't get there. Because we've got people moving in, we're getting a little bit more demand for commercial again. So I'm going to drop some of that just on this little road here, and that'll start to build up almost straight away. But we don't have a massive amount of demand for anything. Things have kind of leveled off. I've zoned enough spaces for people to kind of move in and get jobs, and then more industry to move in, and people to move in and get jobs there. And so we're kind of good. At this point, we're kind of just good to just let it sit, get ourselves out of this $3 hole that we've managed to formulate ourselves into, and hit that next milestone, which the game is hopefully going to click onto at 2,200 people, which will be any second now, just like that. So Boomtown, we're now Boomtown. We've got ore industry specialisation, which is a cool little thing to have. We've got recreational use as a new, what's the term for it, policy, and we've got a load of new roads, which is going to be good for when we decide we're going to have a mess around with that type of thing. We've got these advanced wind turbines as well, which on this particular map is great. It's an awesome little addition because they produce a massive amount of power with very, very little effort. They're not that expensive either. But what we need to concentrate on right now is filling out services in this particular area here. So I'm going to pop in a police station, I think, just here. And then I'm going to weave a little road. Bam. 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 Just because having those transport links is going to make a major difference. Obviously, we've now unlocked the high school, which we're not too fussed about right now. Garbage cover is okay. It's not fantastic, but there's nothing to be done about that. Medical coverage could be better. Fire coverage needs to be better in this particular area. So I'm going to just there we go. Drop that in there. And even if it still leaves some of these areas as high risk, it doesn't. So we can just, and then just like that, bam. And then if we go back to fire coverage, it's gravy. It's not a problem at all. Obviously, this tiny little corner up here may be a problem in the future, but we can have a little play around with underground roads, maybe go under the highway and extend out further up here. It's an option. I'm going to come out of this map mode. And just have a little play around with potentially, you know, updating this old town up in this top corner and extending our industry out. Now, I have noticed already this is not getting any power, so I'm just going to move it to the other side of this intersection. People will be simultaneously happy and unhappy. But apart from that, it wouldn't have actually been making any difference. So, Portmont is currently the city name. I kind of like Keyside as our little name for this one. So we're going to call it Keyside for the time being. If you have better suggestions, you know, other than shit city, damn, we'll update it. We'll put it in there, and it just goes to show how many working people we've got and stuff, which is a cool little feature, I think. We are having some power issues. I think due to the fact that we just don't have enough power. No, we don't, and we also don't really have any money. So when we hit 6k, which shouldn't be too long, I am just going to drop another wind turbine down here, because it's going to be the easiest way to do it. And then we'll sort of go from there. I mean, obviously the other option is to bring in the power from this one, but I don't really want to touch that one for the time being. Long term, I'll get rid of that wind turbine altogether. Now, bam, that's good. That's just up to just enough to keep us afloat. Unfortunately, at this point, we're not really making any money. Not real money anyway. I think maybe we've gone a little bit too far with certain services. Or we've not built enough of certain things before building those. So I'm just going to drop in a bunch more commercial around this kind of little snaky intersection. Which probably people are probably screaming about because, goddamn, the traffic is going to be terrible. But I kind of like the way it looks. I really do. I like the way it looks because I figure, in reality, shops and stuff, they don't build because somebody plans to build them there. They build because people need them, and it's supply and demand. So I feel like that's another major thing. We've got the option to buy another piece of land. Obviously, we don't really have the money to do that. But sort of next time, I think maybe we'll look at this piece or this piece, depending on how we extend out to the other bank. And we'll sort of go from there. We'll just go from there. So obviously, we're not too worried about that for the time being. I'm going to go back into the normal map view and just take a quick look at some of these stats. So garbage collection is pretty good. No one's in terrible shape, but we do need a cemetery apparently, which I don't even know if we'll be able to afford. Cemetery. So this is 8,000, which we're nearly at. We're not terribly far away from it. Obviously, we've got both of our loans already, which isn't great on my part, I'll be honest. But we've had to play around with certain things like these keys. Obviously, they cost money to build, and I think they may even cost a small amount of maintenance. Transport links. We've already got transport links, so taxis and buses, trains as well. I'm not going to worry about them right now. When we start to hit the sort of 10 to 15,000 population mark, then maybe I'll have a look at it. But right now, I'm not too worried, for the simple fact that I don't need to be. You know, these little roundabouts, obviously, they do get a little bit choked up when you're playing at high speed, but aside from that, you don't have to worry about it too much. Obviously, on top of that, we do have this sort of outside connection needed on the far bank. Again, when we've got some money in the bank, I will have a look at it, but we've now hit that point where we can build a cemetery, which we desperately need. We don't have one at all in the city, so I'm just going to drop it in here and then zone a pinch more residential. So drop all of this in here. In fact, I'm just going to zone a lot of it and then not even worry about it for the next couple of months in game. So commercial, we'll drop a big chunk of that in here as well, and hopefully money's going to start picking up real quick, because we are going into a little bit of a power crisis at this point, which is not great. We also have demand for industrial, which again, not great. So these people are kind of experiencing rolling brownouts at this point, waiting for power to come. We're literally just a couple of megawatts under most of the time. And then suddenly it's sated again and it's fine, but it's not good enough. We're going to have to come up with a more long-term power solution. We've got a coal power plant. We've got a handful of wind turbines, which are just about keeping us afloat, but every time people are building in these new locations, they require more power. So I'm going to have a look at long-term solutions, what I can sort of do as we unlock more things, like potentially oil, hydro power plants, which are good for this map as far as I remember. Hydro power plants, solar power plants are massive as far as I remember as well, and then sort of finally the nuclear power plant. As far as I'm aware, there's no real negatives to using a nuclear power plant. Obviously, as it says there's noise pollution and no ground pollution. That's fucking great. In this game, you do have to weigh up pros and cons and practical and not practical. So that's a huge thing, I think, especially in this game. Don't mind me. So industry demand is growing again. I don't really want to build any because this traffic is fucking god awful already. So I'm just going to have a little play around with what I can do to fix it potentially. So if we had a road coming up here, and then down here, and down again. Please tell me that's actually connected, right? It is. Okay, fab. God, that was very, very close to being a heart attack moment. So if we just curl this around and link it up to here, whenever the game's ready, obviously, and then potentially even just delete. Yeah, I'm just gonna delete this. Fuck these people in particular. And then that way they have to go sort of up and around and down and much further away to actually do anything, which isn't great. That's not the way to solve these things, especially not in this game where traffic can be so major. But as a temporary fix, it should take some of the weight off of this tiny little roundabout, and make traffic flow a little slower, a little steady. Now, on the brink of an employment and power crisis, I am going to get another turbine down. Yeah, I'm going to get another turbine down just like that, which doesn't make people particularly happy, but whatever. I'm going to replace this road as well, because people are complaining about garbage. And I'm going to call it a day there. I will see you guys very, very soon with another episode. Again, any tips, tricks, please do make me aware of it. I really will appreciate them, and if they do work, I will be more than happy to add them in. In terms of next episode, I'm going to try and do them so they come out sort of on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis, somewhere in between, to try and keep on top of things. And I'll see you guys next time. Please do leave a like, comment, or subscribe. If you enjoyed this, let me know. Take care. Bye-bye.